Today, me and Sean Patton are going to be interviewing people to see what their opinion on the war in Iraq is.
Daniel O'Toole, senior at Haverford High School.
Hi, Mr. O'Toole. Why do you think the United States invaded Iraq?
Saddam Hussein and oil.
Next question, do you think oil influenced this?
Absolutely.
Do you think it was right to invade Iraq?
No.
Do you think the Iraqi citizens want us there?
It's a good point, actually. 70% of Iraqis don't want America in there.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the invasion?
A dictatorship.
Yeah, that is correct. Do you know what kind of government they have now?
Democracy.
How much money do you think the U.S. spends monthly on the war?
About $7 billion.
$7.3 billion, and $900 billion have been sent since September 10th and October. And on average, each household spends about $9,000, has spent about $9,000 on it. Does this number surprise you?
Yes.
Do you think we're spending too much or too little?
Too much.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think have died in Iraq?
I would guesstimate about 700.
As of December 2009, 4,287 U.S. soldiers have died, and 30,182 have been injured. Does this number surprise you?
Yeah, I thought it was less.
Do you think we should continue the war in Iraq?
No.
My name is Calvin Hawkins. I'm a freshman, 15 years old.
Why do you think the United States invaded Iraq?
I don't even know.
Do you think oil influenced it?
I don't care.
Do you think it was right to invade Iraq?
I don't know.
Do you think the Iraqi citizens want us there?
Probably not.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the invasion of the U.S.?
I don't know.
They had a dictatorship. What kind of government do you think Iraq has now?
Democrat.
How much money do you think the U.S. spends monthly on the war?
$8 million.
It's actually $7.3 billion. Does this number surprise you?
Yes, it does.
Do you think we're spending too much or too little?
Too much.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think have died in Iraq?
7,302.
Actually, it's 4,287, and 30,182 have been injured. Does this number surprise you?
Yes, it does.
Do you think we should continue the war in Iraq?
No, we should not.
States invaded Iraq.
To hunt down terrorism,
Do you think oil influenced this?
very much.
Do you think it was right to invade Iraq?
Of course.
Do you think the Iraqi citizens want us there?
Hell no.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the invasion of the U.S.?
They didn't have a government.
What kind of government do you think they have now?
Republic.
They have a democracy, kind of like with parliament. How much money do you think the U.S. spends monthly on the war?
I'm gonna have to go with around like $7.3 billion.
Right on the money, I don't know.
Is that right?
Yeah, does that number surprise you?
No, because I knew that number, so therefore it doesn't surprise me.
Do you think we're spending too much or too little on the war?
We should just get the hell out of there and blow them up.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think died in Iraq so far?
Over a good 10,000.
Actually, only 4,187 soldiers have died.
That's good.
Does that surprise you? More or less?
I think it's not very surprising.
I think we should continue the war in Iraq.
No, we need to end it. Now.
My name's Zach Amato. I'm a senior at Haverford High School.
Why do you think the United States invaded Iraq?
Because they bombed the World Trade Centers.
Do you think oil influenced this at all?
Sure, because if we take over the country, we have control of it.
Do you think it was right to invade Iraq?
Hell yes.
Do you think the Iraqi citizens want us there?
They love us there. You see them, they're giving us flowers, we give them chocolate. They want us there. They need us there.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the U.S. invasion?
There wasn't a government. They were like living in caves and stuff, and camps, and we came and we like civilized.
They actually had a dictatorship. What kind of government do you think they had now?
Oh, they definitely have like a democracy and a constitution and all those good things we have.
How much money do you think the U.S. spends monthly on the war?
Like $2.
It's actually $7.3 billion they spend a month, and $900 billion have been spent on Iraq since 2010.
It's not that much.
Does this number surprise you?
No, not at all.
Do you think we're spending too much or too little?
Probably too little. We can put some more money in there, right? We don't have any problems here.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think have died in Iraq?
How many soldiers? 2 or 3, maybe 4.
It's 4,287 soldiers have died. Does that number surprise you?
A little bit, because I'm pretty sure there's no fighting there, so why did they die?
Do you think we should continue the war in Iraq?
Of course, you gotta finish what you start, don't you?
Thank you.
Marcus Sidnor, freshman, 14-year-old, 2013.
Why do you think the United States invaded Iraq?
After 9/11, we were going to stop terrorism.
Do you think oil influenced this invasion?
Yes.
Do you think it was right to invade?
Yes.
Do the Iraqi civilians want us there?
No, I don't think so.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the invasion of the U.S.?
Dictatorship.
Do you know who led the dictatorship?
Saddam Hussein.
What kind of government do they have now?
Democracy.
How much money do you think the U.S. has spent on the war?
8. Really?
Since the U.S. began the war, they've spent about $900 billion. Does that number surprise you?
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Do you think we're spending too much or too little?
Too much money.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think have died in Iraq?
5,000. About.
It's about right. It's 4,287. Do those numbers surprise you?
Yes, it does.
Do you think we should continue the war in Iraq?
No, we gotta bring our troops back, man.
I'm Carl Adler. I'm a sophomore, and gotta ask questions.
Why do you think the United States invaded Iraq?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Would you think oil influenced this at all?
Most likely, yes.
Do you think it was right to invade Iraq?
Probably not.
Do you think the Iraqi citizens want us there?
No.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the invasion?
Democracy? I don't know.
They had a dictatorship. Saddam Hussein.
Right.
What kind of government do you think they have now?
Somewhat of a democracy.
How much money do you think the United States has spent in the war in general?
A couple $1 billion.
It's been $900 billion it's spent on Iraq. Does that number surprise you?
It does surprise me.
Hell yeah.
Do you think we're spending too much or too little?
Way too much.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think have died in Iraq?
A couple thousand.
4,287. Does this number surprise you?
It does, sort of, yes.
Do you think we should continue the war in Iraq?
No, we should leave right now.
My name is Keon Halpern, and I'm a sophomore.
Why do you think the United States invaded Iraq?
The United States invaded Iraq probably because they're trying to stop the spread of totalitarianism. Because Saddam Hussein was a pretty bad dictator.
So, do you think oil influenced this at all?
I think oil was a big influence because a lot of people want the price of oil to go down, and they'll do whatever it takes.
Do you think it was right to invade Iraq?
I don't think they had just cause to just invade random countries.
Do you think the Iraqi citizens want us there?
I think right now they need the American soldiers because they're not capable of surviving on their own, but they want them to leave and so they can have their own government and their own police.
What kind of government did Iraq have prior to the U.S. invasion?
They had a dictatorship.
What kind of government do they have now?
They have a democracy.
How much money do you think the United States spends monthly on the war?
Monthly, probably over like $1 billion.
Does this number surprise you?
No, not at all. There's a lot of money invested in this war.
Do you think we're spending too much money, too little money?
It's definitely a little too much. There are bigger problems than overseas.
How many U.S. soldiers do you think have died now?
Probably about 3,000.
Does this number surprise you?
No, I was pretty close.
Do you think we should continue the war in Iraq?
Not for long. We have to eventually get out of here.